Good morning, folks. I hope we're all well today. We changed this morning, I'm afraid, because of the ongoing problems with my computer. David will not be joining us this morning. Because I wouldn't be able to share the newspaper headlines via my phone. Well, I could, but I don't know how to do it. I haven't worked it out yet. So it's just me this morning, doing the usual programme. And Charlie Cat will be the co-presenter today, as he is most mornings. And as you can see, he's in his place on his table. He's having a wee rest because he just stuffed his face. And when he stuffs his face, he likes to go into my lap. But the iPad's there, so he can't get on. So he's in a bit of a huff as your Charlie Cat. And it'll be interesting this morning as I do something that the mainstream media should have done and have not done. But we'll correct it for them today on this particular episode of the Two Davies morning newspaper headline review. Okay, so let's get this underway. It's Two Davies out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury in North Lanarkshire, where it is not a bad morning, clearing up, 16 degrees. Today's high will be 19 degrees in my area. Humidity is at 77%. That one's for Mr. Milligan, who I know is watching. And it's a wee bit gusty out there, with the breeze blowing at up to 20 mile an hour at times. And there is rain in the forecast, unlike yesterday where it pissed it down. There was no rain in the forecast. And the pollen count is low, and the main allergen is grass. So that's that out the way. You know what the weather's like here in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. If you want to know what the weather's like where you are, look out your own bloody window. Okay, let's move on. First up this morning, we've got the Herald, and the Herald's got some of the worst nonsense I've read in my life. And I'll explain that when I put the headline up. Okay. So first up this morning, we have the Herald. So you notice I'm trying to be all calm this morning, folks. So let's get the Herald up. And the Herald has hospitals report 3,500 serious patient incidents. You say 3,500 serious patient incidents? That sounds pretty bad. And it says Health Secretary under fire over catastrophic data for Scots Category 1 events. Category 1 event, unforeseen circumstances in someone's healthcare. That 3,500, that's not annually, folks. That's over 5 years. So that's 600 a year. And I thought, is that a lot? How many patients does NHS Scotland treat a year? Outpatient appointments in NHS Scotland alone are 4 million people a year. So to have 600 unusual events happening within the NHS in Scotland, unforeseen turns in people's treatment, no something related to medical care, they'd be using standard medical care for whatever condition it is the person's got, but something unusual will have happened during that treatment. Not necessarily the medical professional's fault, but because they've got to report it, any unforeseen circumstances to the regulator. There has been 600 a year over the last 5 years. So when the NHS is treating 4 million people a year here in Scotland, believe it or not, 4 million at 5.5 million is have to see the NHS each year at one point or another, for one reason or another. So 4 million appointments and 600 reports of unusual events in healthcare treatment. That's fuck all. The headline's nonsense. The story's nonsense. The whole lot's contrived fucking nonsense. And yet here we have it. a health secretary who's allegedly under pressure. By the way, this is a health secretary which is successfully bringing down waiting lists. They're doing by over 18%. And apparently, he's under pressure because unforeseen incidents, 600 of, happen per year in the NHS, when the NHS is treating 4 million people a year. This is nonsense. This is contrived bollocks. And they really need pulled up for it. But that's not the worst of what we're going to get today. In fact, that's probably the least of what we're going to get today. Because from here on, for most of the headlines, we'll be talking about immigration and we'll be talking about Nigel Farage. And I'm going to ask the questions that the mainstream media isn't asking Farage. So let's take this contrived nonsense down and move on to our next bit of contrived nonsense. Fucking clickbait that is. Okay, next up we have the loony rag, the knuckle draggers paper, the Express. And the Express has: Farage, I will deport 600,000 illegal migrants. And I thought, how many illegal migrants do we actually have within the UK? And the answer is, they don't fucking know. There have been no figures published. And the last guesstimate was done by a think tank called the Pew Research Centre, and it was carried out in 2017 and published in 2019. And it reckoned there's between 800,000 and 1.2 million people who have slipped under the radar after their visa entitlements have run out. But he'll deport 600,000 illegal migrants. We fucking don't even know how many's here. And those who arrive by irregular entry, or as they like to call them, illegals, seeking asylum, was only 37,000 last year. The backlog in processing asylum seekers is 70,000. So where is Nigel going to find 600,000 people to fucking deport? There are no records on how many people are here illegally. That's a fact. There is none. The ONS has published no figures since the early 2000s. 2005 to 2010 was the last time the ONS estimated how many people were here irregularly or illegally or whatever you want to call it. So where Nigel is going to find 600,000 people to deport, I have absolutely no idea. Because we're not even getting guesstimates on how many people come here and then don't leave at the end of their visa slot or allocated time to be here legally. We have no idea how many are here. There could be only the 90,000 the 70,000 which are waiting on asylum claims being processed. We could be talking about a couple of 100,000 people who have came here with visas and overstayed their visa entitlement. But we have no idea. But the question is, why isn't the mainstream media asking Nigel where he's going to find 600,000 people to deport? Why aren't we asking Nigel, how many people are here illegally, Nigel, do you know? But the answer is quite simple. The government doesn't know. It does not know. So if Nigel's going to deport 600,000 people, then it's probably going to be people who are like me, who've got dual citizenship, and who could have their UK citizenship legally removed. So the headline's nonsense. Farage is talking pish, and we have absolutely no idea how many people were here. And you don't have to believe me, folks. You all have a search engine. Go to your search engine and ask how many illegal migrants are there currently in the UK. And it'll come up and tell you. Don't know. Last estimate, Pew Research Centre, 2017. Figures published, report published in 2019. So the Pew Research Centre undertook to look at the issue in 2017. It took them 2 years to compile the report, and at the end they say we don't know. We're estimating 800,000 to 1.2 million. Absolutely fucking mental. Yet nobody's pulling for eyes up on this. They're all reporting on he's going to deport 600,000 people, but nobody's asking them who these 600,000 fucking people are. Nobody's asking them. Nobody's asking them to come up with a figure of how many illegal immigrants are here. Because the Office for National Statistics hasn't published any. And as I say, you don't have to believe me, you all have search engines. And then, of course, he wants to leave the Convention on Human Rights. He wants to leave the European Court on Human Rights. He wants to scrap our rights altogether and introduce a Bill of Rights. That's basically him saying, I'll scrap all these treaties, and that way I'm in charge. We're looking at fascism on stilts. You know? And as for he's going to stop the boats. Last time I looked, you couldn't build a fucking wall in the English Channel. We live on an island. We don't have a land border with Europe. How's he going to stop the boats? Is he going to bomb them as they come across the channel? This is nonsense. The press is not asking the right questions. This is populism being promoted by. This is Farage being promoted by. This is fascism being promoted by the mainstream media. And it gets worse. Because almost every fucking rag we're about to look at has the same headline. So, take that down. Next up, we've got the Telegraph, I believe. Or is it the Times? The Telegraph. Let's call it a Tory graph. Red and blue Tory graph. See what it's got for us this morning. Oh, we're back down the other end again. Taliban to give Farage deal on migrants. Let me translate that into a language that we all understand. Farage to send up to 20,000 people to their death. How do we know that? MOD leaked documents. The MOD tell us that they leaked the identity of over 20,000 collaborators who worked for the UK when we, the Americans, occupied Afghanistan. You heard that word right, occupied Afghanistan. Now, the Taliban has made it clear they intend to murder everybody on the list, that list that was released by the MOD or leaked by the MOD. They intend to wipe them all out. So Farage is going to get into a deal with the Taliban to send them people to kill. Now, the Taliban have already said they'll come into the UK and kill any of the fuckers that are here. They'll come onto these soils and kill any of these Afghans that are here. But Nigel's going to make it easy for them. He's going to deport them back for the Taliban to take them off the planes, line them up, and shoot the bastards. How the milk of human kindness runs freely in right-wing England. This is unbelievable stuff. Why isn't the Telegraph telling people what will happen to these people when Farage deports them? I wonder how keen they'll be to deport them when they find out actually they've been deported to go to their deaths. I'll tell you what, folks. It's enough to break your fucking heart. The idea that this fuck is being promoted by every single broadcaster, every single rag, UK-wide, tells you that there is something seriously wrong. These newspapers are not reporting news. These newspapers are setting the agenda. And they're also normalising the idea of sending people to their deaths. Sending them to their deaths. Fuck. Let's take that, London. Get rid of it. Next up, we have the Hitler supporting Nazi supporting a rag from the 1930s, the Daily Fail. Let's put up the Fail and see what vile shit it's got on its front page today. The Nazi supporting paper of the 1930s. Finally, a politician who gets it. As Nigel Farage promises unprecedented measures to halt illegal migration in face of mounting public anger and despair. There isn't any public anger, no public despair. It's being generated by these fucking rags and the broadcasters. And when Farage goes on TV or on radio, he gets an easy ride. Nobody's asked him where he's going to find 600,000 people to deport. Nobody's saying to him, "Oi, Nigel, we don't have any figures being issued for the Office of National Statistics to tell us how many people are here illegally. So where did you get your 600,000 figure from, Nigel? Do you see any of that in these papers? Have you heard any of that for a reporter on the mainstream media?" No. They're just quoting him for betting. Nobody's saying to him, "How's this possible, Nigel? How are you going to do this, Nigel? How do you know how many people are here illegal, Nigel?" Nobody's asking the simple questions. In fact, nobody's asking any fucking questions whatsoever. They're just printing whatever comes out of that arsehole's mouth. It's depressing. And it shows you how low the society has gone down that fucking road. Unbelievable. So the Hitler supporting rag of the 1930s is calling for Hitler-style policies in 2025. You can tell the fucking silent generation have almost all passed away. There is nobody here to fight back. There's nobody here to explain that this is the shit. Well, that's not true. David and I have been talking about being a return to the 1930s for the last 3 fucking years on this programme. This is horrifying, folks. And this is how low society has gotten. Turn on thy neighbour so that you don't bring down the establishment. That's what this shit is. Divide and conquer with a neo-Nazi boot on it. Time this fucking rag was pulled up and taken to task. In fact, it should have been shut down in the 1930s when it was actually supporting the Nazi Party and promoting the Nazi Party here in these islands. And so you can tell the silent generation are gone. I don't know if they just spoke up anyway. They were called the silent generation for a reason. They were all fucking traumatised. Hard work, this one. Right, after the Nazi rag, we have the National. Not right, is it? No, we have the Guardian. I flipped the page too early. We got the Guardian, so we'll put the Guardian up. Here we go. Farage accused of ugly populism over plans for mass deportation. That's a wee bit better. Ugly populism. Never mind the ugly populism. Let's ask him how he's going to fucking find 600,000 people to deport. That's a better fucking question. How does he know many people are here illegally? That's a better question than all. Let's see, we'll get super chat in. Sorry, folks. We'll put it up. And it's class action. Trump has told ICE to deport 600,000 every year. Numbers sound familiar? Yes, it does. It does. Thank you for that piece of information, class action. But thanks for super chat. Un-effing believable. Hey. So the Guardian at least is calling it out as nonsense. Ugly populism. But it's the only one. The only one. The National has a crack at that, worry enough, to be fair, when we get there. Right, so that was the Guardian. Let's see what the rancid rag of Times has got for us this morning. This one's along the same lines, but it's not quite Farage himself. Labour's bid to head off small boats hits trouble. Now, this is all about Starmer's claim that he's going to smash the smuggling gangs who are smuggling people into the UK. Folks, let me make this absolutely fucking clear. The average price of a decent rubber dinghy with an outboard motor in France at this point in time, 800 to 1,000 euros. So let's say you're going to put 20 people on that dinghy that you've just bought with an outboard motor that functions and a gallon of petrol. That works out at 40 euros a head, £38 a head. Guess how much it costs a DFS ferry trip? You're right, about the same as buying a dinghy. You get 20 young people working in the black market, put together 800 to 1,000 euros, they buy a fucking dinghy with an outboard motor, and over they come. There's no gangs involved. You're getting the wheel pulled down your eyes. This is nonsense. Tell you what, you've all got a search engine. Google it. How much to buy a dinghy, a second-hand dinghy with an outboard motor in France? 800 to 1,200 euros for a decent one. Google it yourself. You don't need a smuggling gang. You just need a group of people with 40 euros a head, 36 quid a head. And hey, oh, you buy a dinghy, an outboard motor, and a gallon of petrol. Off you go. Smuggler gangs my arse. You've had so much shite in all your life. Smash the gangs. They're on their gangs. It's just a group of young men working in the black market until they've got 40 bucks a head. Probably stick it on a central pot. Go buy a boat and out you come. For about the price of getting on the DFS ferry. So you can't get on a DFS ferry. You just go buy a boat for the same price. 20 people, 40 euros a head. Hey ho, we have a boat, here we go. There's so much fucking nonsense in all my life, smuggler gangs. Smuggler gangs, fuck all. Me, myself, if I was working on the black market in France, Belgium, wherever, I could earn 1,000 euros in a year. I could save 1,000 euros in a year, buy a boat, over I come. No bother. So, another silly fucking headline. Another absolutely silly headline. There is no smuggler gangs. You don't need them. You don't need a gang of smugglers to get people to the UK. You just need 1,000 euros. You got a fucking decent sized dinghy. And, class action, you're talking about a new one. I'm talking about a second hand one. The second hand dinghy, I looked it up. I looked into it. That's why I'm making these statements. Because you can buy a new one, as class action just pointed out, for 9 grand to 15 grand. You buy a second hand one that's barely fit to go in the water. Let's say 8 to 1,200 quid. Okay. Enough to drive you in the fucking twists. You don't need smuggler gangs. And even at buying a new one, 9,000 to 15,000 euros. Most of these people who are coming here have been able to afford to flee their own lands and travel across the continent. It's more likely that they've got 9,000 to 15,000 euros lying about between a group of them. So, if you want to be a wee bit safer on your way out, get yourself in a group of doctors, a group of surveyors, a group of lawyers, whatever, for all different parts of the world. They've fled their own countries with money in their pockets. So, there's no need for smuggling gangs. That's a lot of nonsense. Absolute fucking bollocks. But it needs called out, folks. It needs called out for what it is. It's nonsense. Right, let's see what the Nationals go for us this morning. It's on the same theme, by the way, folks. Farage's plans could speed up end of union. Experts verdict on bid to scrap human rights law. Starmer refuses to condemn speech calling for up to 600,000 deportations. That's because Starmer is an enabler of Farage. Starmer is an enabler of the state. And this guy here, Froggy Farage, he's been handpicked by the state to make sure that the people of England don't rise up as they become poorer and poorer and poorer, and as those with power, power and patronage protect themselves. Fucking nonsense. Expect better for the National. But the National's right, it will speed up the end of the Union, but they're not talking about Scotland being allowed to leave, or Scotland getting up and leaving. They're talking about Northern Ireland here in the Good Friday Agreement. Because you pull out of the European Court of Human Rights, the Good Friday Agreement goes south. So Farage doesn't give a shit about Ireland, north or south. And we've seen that the English don't give a shit about Northern Ireland either, because it was never a consideration in their Brexit wheeze. So, nonsense, as usual. But will it split up the Union? We'll see Northern Ireland get out the door quick enough. Because Farage will just say, we don't want you, get to fuck. Have your border vote, and they'll rig it so that it's a yes for reunification. Right, the eye has. As you can see, folks, I don't have much enthusiasm for the bollocks in the papers today. Farage promises to deport 600,000 migrants and involves deal with Taliban and Iran's Ayatollah. The milk of human kindness, we're back there again. Let's deport them to their deaths. Let's deport them to places who will kill them. Let's deport them to places who have stated publicly that they would kill these people if they get their horns on them. Huh? Just dingy the news. There wouldn't be a programme then, would there, Mr. Kelly? Just dingy the news. If we dingy the news, we'd have nothing to talk about. I'd be coming on here to talk about the football, and that's not going fucking well either, is it? And I'm not that big a sports fan. Okay. Well, hope burns eternal. That's for sure. Hope burns eternal, Melvin. Yeah. So that was the eye. What's the Scotsman got for us this morning? Let's hope it's no on immigration. So let's see what's the Scotsman got for us this morning. The Scots hating Scotsman. Fucking ironic, that, isn't it? Drug room plans for city will horrify locals. Now, I read this article, folks. Where's it? Either answers next. I've read this story this morning, and it's about Edinburgh going to copy Glasgow, or the rollout of safe consumption rooms. And they're looking at a couple of sites in the old town of Edinburgh. And this rag is telling us that the people won't like it. But when you read the actual article, nobody's asked the fucking people. Nobody's asked the people at all. They're just assuming that the old town won't want a safe drugs consumption room in their area. Well, who would? Allegedly. Do the people of Rockhill want a drug consumption room in their area? Don't think anybody fucking asked them either. So, nonsense. Did I not put that up? I forgot to share it, I think. I'll put it up before I take it down again. There you go. Drug room plans for city centre will horrify locals. Nobody's fucking asked them. Nobody's asked the locals. And the article's quite clear about it. Nobody's asked the locals. Right, then we'll get their answer. We don't put their answer up. Well, their answer has turf war monsters, unmasked warlords. And this is when the gang fights are going on here in the west of Scotland. No interested. Crime story. No for me. Alright, let's move on. We get a metro. Put a metro up. What's the metro go for us a day? Shameful 15% surge in rape cases. This is an England story, folks. Although I'm sure if I went looking for the figures, it would be pretty well similar here in Scotland, I would imagine. But this, of course, will be blamed on irregular migration. I'm not going to use the term illegal. I'm going to use the term irregular. No doubt this will be blamed on irregular migration, and it will be used to stoke the culture wars, because that's exactly why we have this fucking headline. It will be to stoke the culture wars, stoke the hate. Make the white man hate the brown man and the black man, and that way you can keep control of all three. Wonderful stuff. It's basic, it's simple, it works, because people en masse are pretty fucking stupid. Individually, they're very intelligent, but en masse, they're pretty fucking stupid. And that's what these headlines are about. It's about divide and rule. No divide and conquer, divide and rule. So the white man's going to hate the brown man, the black man, and the state will control it all. There you go. And it's to stop the white man, the brown man, and the black man teaming up and bringing down the state. So there you have it. And after that, we've got the scum. And the scum is on an entertainment story, which it always is these days because it's just an entertainment magazine. And it has Taylor to wed Travis. Look what you made me I do. And apparently a couple of pop artists have got engaged. Do you care? Will it make it all the way to the altar? Your guess is as good as mine. I've got a couple of nieces that have been engaged 4 or 5 times, never made it to the fucking altar. So there you have it. Right, I have to say, folks, I just despair at the headlines today. I really do. And why this idiot Farage, with only 5 MPs, 80 councillors, the Green have got more, when it comes to councillors especially, are getting platformed the way they're getting platformed. Why is Farage getting all this airtime? Why is Farage being platformed by every media outlet? He's only got 5 MPs. And the 12 councils he's running, they're all failing miserably. Their public services are disintegrating before the people's eyes. The councillors haven't got a fucking Scooby what they're doing, and they're not interested either. They don't want to turn up and do their jobs. Nothing. It's time for more milkshakes, Peter. Yeah, that's what we need today. We need to show up en masse and start lobbing fucking milkshakes at these people. Yeah, give that to Nigel for me. But I am starting to despair at the nonsense, folks. And it's quite clear what the idea is. As the people get poorer, they're going to get angry with the state. That cannot be allowed. So the state's going to make them angry at each other. As our lives get down the toilet, we've not to blame the people that are driving everything. We've to blame the black man or the brown man next door. Even though the black man and the brown man next door is like us just trying to fucking survive and get through in life, they're the enemy according to the state. When the real enemy is the state. The failing political parties who are running the show. The milkshake revolution, Sir Larry the Cat. Davey, start it. If France comes anywhere near me, I'll give him more than one fucking milkshake. I'm a generous man. I can afford to buy 2 or 3. But hey, that's a good idea for a milkshake revolution. At least it would be bloodless. But that's what this is all about, folks. If you and me and the black and the brown man are busy blaming each other for the problems we have, we are not blaming the state. We are not blaming the failing political parties who are void of ideas, who don't want to drive social programs forward, who don't want to take the responsibility that they are given when they go into office, and that is to serve the people. They want to make money and join the upper echelons of our society so that they can be the ones pissing down on tappies and telling us it's raining. And that be the truth of it. Look at Angela Rayner, living in a council house that she bought until she became a politician. All of a sudden, she get 2 fucking mansions in a council house which she rents out. And she's just purchased the second of the mansions for 800,000 quid. That's no bad for going for skint 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago to becoming a politician, and then being able to spend the best part of £1 million on a property. And all that in a 90 grand a year wage. 90 grand a year. Fucking heard that. That's their official grade. That's their official wage. They get more than that in brown fucking envelopes. Yeah. So, Angela Rayner's new house would take her 10 years to pay off on an MP's salary if she didn't spend a penny of it on feeding herself, on paying for utilities or paying council tax. None of what she does. She gets a £300 a week allowance for £180 a week allowance for messages. She gets her electricity paid, her TV licence paid, her council tax paid. MPs don't pay for fuck all. When you talk about benefit junkies, Westminster's full of them. But as I say, this hate on the black man, the brown man, the white man, it's just divide and conquer. Divide and rule. No conquer. There's no need to conquer. And this take our country back shite. Who took it for you? Who took it for you? Who lifted the geographical mass that is the UK and moved it? Who did that? Fucking nobody. It's impossible. It never went anywhere. It's never been stolen. It's never been taken. It might have been subjugated the way Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland has been. And England. But it's never went anywhere. Right, David and I will be back tomorrow afternoon because I can do the Two Davies show on my phone. I haven't got my computer fixed yet. We're in the process of trying to get a new one organised. It's Windows 11 ready. It should be ready for Monday, I hope. But the Two Davies, David and I will be back together tomorrow afternoon, and I'll be back tomorrow morning to pull my hair out of the nonsense in the newspaper. And the headlines today about deporting 600,000 people. 600,000 illegal immigrants. I wonder where he's going to find the fuckers. And how does he know many of them are here? The last research into it was done by the Pew Research Centre in 2017. We don't know what the script is since then. And by the way, the people they're talking about didn't come by small boats. They're talking about people who came here legally, and then when their visas were up, did they fucking leave? See you all tomorrow morning. Look after yourselves. I'm away to batter my head off a brick wall.